That's right. We're talking lawn care for beginners. We're going to talk about the 3 fundamental steps you guys need to follow to have the deepest, darkest, greenest, thickest lawn on the block. Of course, there's other things, but if you start with these 3, you're going to get on the right foot, you're going to have a solid foundation, and your lawn is guaranteed to start looking better. Mowing is the most important thing you can do for a lawn, as it actually stimulates growth when it's done quite frequently. Now, as far as mowing goes, we're not mowing anything right now because here in Northwest Indiana, it is pretty snowy outside, it is cold, but that doesn't mean we can't prep and talk about some of these things that are good to know as we head into the 2025 season. So anyway, mowing. Mowing is one of those things, once you start doing it, you almost do not want to stop. You want to do it as frequently as possible. Once a week at least, if you want to be a little more ambitious with it, twice a week or even 3 times a week, or in some cases, if you really want your lawn to look like a playing field, once every 2 to 3 days. If you do that and you commit to it, your lawn right away is already going to start looking a little bit better. Now, to dive a little bit deeper into that, there are some rules you need to follow, one of which being you don't want to cut off any more than 1/3 of the grass blade's length in a single mowing. So one way to figure that out is you take a grass blade and you want to go ahead and bend it at about 1/3 of that. That's about as much as you want to cut off. That's the goal there. Any more than that, and you're actually going to stunt the growth for a little bit. Not to the point where it's going to cause any damage, but you will stunt the growth a little bit. So make sure you're cutting off 1/3 or less within a mowing for optimal results. Of course, some weeks are going to come by where you might cut off a little bit more. You go out of town, you go on vacation, you get busy. It just happens, right? But try and keep within that practice as much as possible for optimal results. Another thing, make sure you sharpen your lawnmower blade. One way you could tell if your lawnmower blade gets dull over time is when you cut the lawn and you notice that the tips of the blades are frayed. They actually look very ripped up and very sloppy, right? Whereas when they're sharp, the cut's going to look clean. Now, there's a couple factors that can go into that aside from a dull blade, like the power of your lawnmower. So make sure you have plenty of power with your machine and that it can handle that. As a professional who mows lawns every single week in the peak of the season, we actually sharpen our blades as often as every other day. But if you're just doing your lawn, you could probably get away with once every couple weeks, once a month, or maybe even a little less often. But if you want to be ambitious about it, I would recommend once every couple weeks. Get under there, look at it, and see how things look. What we're going for here is like a little bit of a butter knife sharp at the very least. If you want to be more ambitious with it, you can do a razor sharp, but when you sharpen your blade, you want to make sure that you sharpen it evenly on both sides, because if you don't, that's going to cause problems with your mower as far as stability goes, and that can ruin your machine. That's another tangent for another time, but it's just something important you want to make sure is in line so you don't create any further damage, if you will, to the machine that you need to get the job done to maintain your lawn. So make sure that your blades are sharp. Again, once every couple weeks at most, twice to 3 times a year at least if you're a homeowner. If you're doing this professionally, you want to sharpen those blades at the end of every workday in some cases, especially during the spring rush. It's just something to think about. So mow frequently, make sure your blades are sharp, make sure your machine is nice and tuned up. Fertilizer. This is going to be another variable that's actually going to impact the aesthetics of your lawn in a very big way. Fertilizer is important because on top of mowing it frequently, this is what's going to give the lawn that nice double dark blue-green look that we all know and love. Now, there are a couple of different directions you could go with fertilizer. Me personally, I like liquid fertilizer. I just think it's cool because the tank mixing aspect, you can mix your fertilizers with your weed controls in most cases and blanket those across. And here in 2025, there are so many means of application that just make that more of a viable option to save on your footprint, if you will, when doing applications that we'll actually talk about in future videos. So comment below if you want to see that, because we'll make it. But anyway, I'm a liquid guy. But if you're just getting started, granular is probably going to be a better option for you. Granular or liquid, we have products that you can get that will actually make your application process pretty smooth sailing and simple. JakeTheLawnKid.net. We have all your granulars and all your liquid fertilizers. Now, here's why that's important for me to mention that. All of these products are very, very similar from one to another that you might use throughout the season. Again, we'll delve into this in more future videos, but the cool thing about the products that we have is that all of the pellets are the same size. So when you do your first application, your mid-season application, your end end of season application, you can rest assured that once you set your fertilizer spreader setting, it's actually going to be set and you could just forget it for the rest of the season. So that is a plus to using the fertilizer products that we sell that will help you at any point in the lawn care season, no matter where you are in your lawn care journey. What about spreader settings? Well, if you purchase our products, the spreader settings for some of the spreaders you might get, depending on the application rate you go, which for us 3 pounds is the standard for all of them, should be there depending on what spreader you have. Now, if it's not on the bag, here's something you can do as a beginner and you don't have to worry about burning anything. Go over the lawn on a small setting, see how much comes out, and then adjust accordingly the second time around, and then maybe break up another section, open it a little bit more and see how much comes out, and then break up another section and open it a little more and see how much comes out. That's a simple way to do it where you don't have to be technical and measure it. Now, I said we were going to do a video where I talked about measuring it and doing it that way, so you don't have to do this. This is an easier way to do it. It takes a little bit of time. As a beginner, this is a good way to do it, to get an eye and a feel for everything. But if you're more advanced and you're a professional, we actually have to play by a different set of rules, which is why I recommend you subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be making a video at some point here showing you guys how the pros do it. Actually saves a lot of time. A little more technical, but saves some time and trial of having to do it this way. But yeah, just simply put it in the hopper, go across, and adjust accordingly on multiple different sections in the same day, or maybe multiple days, depending on how big your lawn is. Now, with liquid fertilizers, calibration is going to be a little bit different. That's another video for another time. But we have so many basic options for DIYers out there. We actually have a hose end where you can spray out the fertilizer, and then if you want to spot spray weeds after that, another video for another time, you can easily put that in a hand can and walk over your lawn after, practicing integrated pest management. Again, little technical, we'll talk about that in the future, but you can simply spray that on your lawn, hook it up to your hose. You're pretty much calibrated and ready to go from there, depending on what walking speed you choose and how ambitious you're going to be with that. You walk across the lawn, spray that out. So with all that out of the way, what are some things we want to look for in fertilizer, whether you purchase from me or a big box store? Well, there's a couple things you want to look for when we're talking about the core basics here of a maintenance application. First things first, you need nitrogen. Nitrogen is what's going to give you top growth and that nice green and vigor that we all know and love on the top, as well as some potassium. We need some potassium in there because what that's going to do is it's going to thicken the cell walls of the plant to make the plant more resistant to waterlogs and diseases and other things that we often come into in lawn care. Again, things that we can talk about once we're in season for that. But having potassium as a staple, around 2 to 3% minimum, that's going to be good. Now, our products in some cases have a little bit more, but again, that's just a standard that we push for everybody. Have nitrogen and potassium. Now, another one we want to have is going to be iron. Iron is actually kind of like nitrogen, except the only difference being is it's a micronutrient, which means it's needed only in small quantities. And what's cool about having iron in your fertilizer is iron is actually going to not stimulate growth, but give you the color without stimulating additional growth, which is very, very helpful in the summertime. We talk about that a lot. If you want to put some color in your lawn, it's growing substantially, we don't need to push any more growth, then it's a good idea to add in some iron maybe a week or two before a holiday to make your lawn pop just that much more. And again, we have so many different ways that you can do that. We keep it very simple for you. It's actually in the fertilizers that we carry, or if you go to the big box store, you can get something that has at least 4 or 5, 6% iron in there, and you'll be good to go. You'll have that nice color pop by pushing minimal growth. Iron's a good one to have, whether it's granular or liquid. It's going to help give you that extra color, if you will, to make your lawn pop that much more. So that's the perfect trifecta you want to look for. Nitrogen, iron, potassium. Now, another thing I want to talk about, the numbers on the bag. What do those mean? That's your analysis. NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And a simple way to remember what I just talked about. Nitrogen pushes top growth. Phosphorus helps with root growth. Now, we don't really recommend using phosphorus that often unless we're doing overseeding, because that's really the only situation where I personally find it to be useful, and a lot of pros out there would agree with me. But for regular maintenance, phosphorus is kind of hit or miss whether you get it or not. But phosphorus helps with root development, and potassium helps with the overall thickening of cell walls to make the plant more immune and more resistant and more strong, if you will, all the way around. So a simple way to remember it: nitrogen up, phosphorus down, potassium all around. Those are the 3 numbers on the bag. You want to find something that has at least the nitrogen and the potassium. Nitrogen, iron, potassium, that's the perfect trifecta for green and vigorous turf, no matter what time of the year it is. Get something that has those 3, like we have on JakeTheLawnKid.net or at the big box store, and you're going to be smooth sailing with beautiful grass. Irrigation. 97% of lawns do not look good because of this sole practice, irrigation, right? If you don't water the lawn correctly, it doesn't matter how good your fertilizing is, how good your mowing is. If you're not watering correctly and you're not correctly distributing those waters throughout the watering schedule, then the lawn's not going to look the greatest. I mean, sure, we're going to mow it, we're going to fertilize it, but if we're not watering it properly and we're not training the lawn to grow correctly, if you will, then it's going to look washed out and limey. Now, what do I mean by that? One of the biggest mistakes I see with a lot of irrigation systems is a lot of people think, okay, the irrigation tech said it, and oftentimes they do this. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why some homeowners do this, but they set the irrigation system to run frequently and light. And I guess they do that just to ensure that the system works. I don't understand why they do that. Maybe they just want to guarantee to the client that the system works, but it's just something that a lot of companies do. So you need to watch out for that, and you need to actually critically think if that's correct, because oftentimes when your irrigation tech sets it, again, no hard feelings, they just don't do it correctly. So you need to come back in on your own and make sure that it's set correctly. So what I often recommend for a lot of people, whether they have an irrigation system or they water by hand, is make sure that you water deep and infrequent. Now, this is also going to vary depending on soil type, but most people are going to find themselves with a loamy clay, which actually holds water really well. Sand, it might be a little different. You might want to do it a little more frequent, but clay, let's keep it basic, because a lot of people who watch this channel do have clay soil. It's going to hold water much better than sand. You can get away with watering deep and infrequent, 2 to 3 times a week, a ½ inch each time. How do you measure that, you might ask? Well, if you have a sprinkler system or a sprinkler, simply take a cup or a rain gauge and stick it in the middle of the sprinkler stream or in the middle of the zone if you're dealing with a sprinkler system, and see how long it takes to fill that up to the ½ inch mark. Once you got that data, set your sprinklers to the allotted time it takes to get that ½ inch, and just like that, you'll be getting enough water. And then when you set it to water, only set it to water 2 times a week. And if you feel it needs more water based on how the lawn is looking, this is a good situation where you can go by sight, then you add another day. If you feel like it's oversaturated, then you take a day away. If it feels like it needs more, maybe the 3 days a week isn't doing it, you can always add another day. So schedule I like to follow for that is Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I start with Sunday and Wednesday, and if I feel it needs another day, I'll throw in Friday, and if I feel it needs more than that, I'll throw in Monday. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the least, if you don't want to do Sunday, but 3 or 4 times a week if you want to be ambitious about it. At the very least 3. The core, I would say 2, but in some cases, depending on how bad of a drought you have, it's going to be 3. So 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water at least every single week. If you do that, your grass is going to look good. Now, one more thing I will throw in here is the time of day that you water. Believe it or not, this can also make or break you, because issues you'll run into if you don't irrigate at the right time is you're actually going to make your lawn more susceptible to diseases. Now, the title of this video is Lawn Care for Beginners. Now, I think one thing everybody should know as a beginner is that if you water at the right time of day, you're going to save yourself a lot of headache, because what happens is when you water at night, for instance, the lawn is going to be wet. It's going to hold on to moisture for a longer period of time, making it more prone to fungus, which is going to be an additional cost and treatment you're going to have to do, or your lawn guy is going to have to do to correct that problem. So one way to avoid that is to water in the morning. Water in the morning around, 2, 4, 6 a.m., however long it takes your system to run. Start it, and then I would recommend having them wrap up by 10 a.m. at the latest. So for some people, you might have to start the night before, but if you have a small 5,000 square foot lawn, you can maybe get away with starting them at midnight or 2 a.m., having them wrap up at 10 a.m. so that they have enough time to absorb the water in the lawn, but it doesn't sit there long enough to the point where it can actually sit on the leaf and cause fungal problems, if you will. Now, there is an argument that I've heard in the past, well, why would I have to do this in the morning when it rains at night? Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is an issue that I don't really look too far into, because in the spring we do get rain, and it does rain at night. That's not really something we can control. It just happens, but we can control when we water the lawn, right? So we might have a little fungal to deal with when it rains at night in the summer and it's humid. We have fungicides we do for that, another video for another time. But really, this is all about what we can control. So if we can mitigate the amount of water that sits on the lawn for a prolonged period of time, we can actually mitigate those issues as well. We can't control what Mother Nature does, but we sure can control what we do. So that is my argument on that issue. If you want to take your lawn to the next level and you really, really want it to look good, check out some of these videos here we've done explaining even further how to do that, and subscribe to the channel to see what else we're going to do here in 2025 to help you get the deepest, darkest, greenest, thickest lawn on the block.